Hey everybody, welcome to Drive Thru Review 487. Today we're going to talk about Kodama, the Tree Spirits. This is from Action Phase Games. It plays 2 to 4 players, and this is based on another game that I reviewed some time ago called Kigi by designer Daniel Solis, who also designed this game. And what you're doing in this game, as well as Kigi, is taking and building off of a tree of sorts that you have and adding different branches with different little features that you're going to end up scoring. And there's also some like hidden scoring cards and some scoring cards that will change kind of from season to season or round to round. Now this has obviously received a definite artistic update as well as some gameplay changes from Kigi. So let's take a look at how the game actually works and then I'll tell you what I think of it. Okay, here you can see all the components that you get in the game. You can see there's this nice scoring track here, various different cards which I'm going to show you, as well as this cool little Kodama type of meeple here. This is the first player token that'll pass around the board from turn to turn. So you can see here, in addition to this being a score track, you are also going to have down here a turn track. And you can see there's 4 turns per round, and then you're going to have a scoring phase. And there's 3 rounds in 3 seasons, so spring, summer, and fall. So each player will take 4 turns, and then we'll have a scoring phase where you get some extra bonus points. Now each player is going to start with one of these oversized cards here. This is going to be the base of their tree. And you can see here there are different features that come with each of the different trees. So you've got mushrooms on this one, a star here, and then this one has some little flowers like so. So each player is going to start off with their own little individual feature. Here's a little worm. And then you're also going to get 4 cards dealt out of this Kodama deck. And these are going to be different scorings that you can do at the end of each season. So you're actually going to get dealt 4 of these Kodama cards, and then you're going to use 3 of them for spring, summer, and fall, and then the other one you'll have left at the end of the game that you won't actually use. And these are going to score you different amounts of points. So you can say score 3 points for each branch card on your tree that has a firefly or flower on it. So this could be something that you're targeting, during the course of play. So these are just a huge variety of these different cards here that are going to get mixed into the game. So you're going to have different kind of secret hidden goals throughout the course of each game. Now the other thing you're going to deal out here are the actual branch cards, and you can see there's different features on these branches, and there's always going to be 4 here for display. And you're also going to deal up 1 of these decrees. So you can see here is a spring decree, so this will be face up and available during that first round of play. So this is going to be a special effect that kind of affects all of the players. So it says during the growing phase, and that's the part where you're playing cards, score clouds as though they were stars instead of clouds. So these are just little game changers and rule changers that are going to mix up, again, game to game. And then as you move from season to season, you'll discard the old decree, then you'll do the summer decree, and then the fall decree finally. And then on your turn, you're simply going to take 1 of these branch cards and add it to your tree. So for this example, let's choose this card here. Then we're going to go ahead and attach it to our tree. And there's a couple of rules here. The first thing is that you're just going to have to sort of attach it to one of the ends here on a branch that you have currently existing. Now you can't ever warp it so that this branch actually goes underneath the base here. The rules say to actually put this against the edge of your table. It's not actually necessary, but it is a good indicator that you can't grow branches obviously back down into the ground. So we'll go ahead and just stick this one here, and then you're actually going to score this card. Now you're only going to score the card if there are matching features sort of down the chain here. Now in this case we do have this little butterfly here, so we're going to get 1 point for that butterfly, and then another point for this butterfly. And then we'll go ahead and replenish this row here. The next player will take their turn, and then it'll come back to us, and then we'll go ahead and choose another card. For this example, let's go ahead and choose this card here, and we can go ahead and try to attach this. Now the other rule is, let's say we want to attach it here for some reason. You cannot actually touch 2 cards, so we couldn't touch our base card here and another card. You can only ever be attached to 1 card, but I'm not going to put it there. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of tack it on right there. And then we're going to go ahead and score this now. Now again, we're going to score for the butterflies because there's 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. But there's nothing else in this current chain here that's going to score. You've got to have cards or features on previous cards to allow anything to score on the card that you actually played. So for example here, if I took this card here with the mushrooms and the worm and the cloud on it, and I took that on, let's say right there, in this case we would actually only score for the worm, because there's a worm on the card we played and on the previous card. Now if there are more worms, we score for more of those. But for example, this mushroom here, there's nothing on the previous card. Even though there might be some further down the chain, you're not actually going to score for that. You've got to have kind of a contiguous line to do that. The other thing you can't do is actually cover up any features on your card. And the last rule is that you can't place a card if it would ever score you more than 10 points at a time. So this kind of forces you to make a more well-balanced tree where you have, you know, branches going off all directions, not just one giant branch going off to the left. And of course, you're going to keep in mind the decree cards. So for example here, this one says after placing a branch card that scores for multiple types of features, so if you've got maybe more features on your top card going backwards, then you're going to gain a point there. So you're going to kind of keep this in mind in terms of, you know, which cards you're choosing and what you're balancing, as well as the possible Kodama cards that you're hidden in your hand that you might be trying to score on this round or later rounds. And that's pretty much how you play the game. The player with the most points will be the winner. Okay, so that is Kodama. Now this is basically like Kigi, but there's actually some significant differences. So in Kigi, for example, you can actually play some of your branch cards on other players' trees, and there's a few different reasons you might try to do that. And the other thing that would happen is you could actually score 10 points, and then that branch would kind of self-destruct and would go into a pile, and players would kind of keep those as different collections. And there were some different scoring cards, kind of like the Kodama cards, that could score based on all of those circumstances. Now I do kind of miss that whole aspect of kind of playing off each other and playing around like that. It had this weird kind of awkward thing that I hadn't really seen that often in a game before, but I do think this actually makes up for it and is better for the game. Now this is definitely you know, sort of classified and put out there as kind of a family gateway level type of game, and it works excellent for that. The artwork and all that stuff really lends itself to that. It's kind of got that Princess Mononoke feel, you know, very sort of whimsical sprites and things like that, and it's sort of very natural kind of thing going on. Now the cool thing about this, where it kind of makes up for me kind of missing out, you know, on that whole sort of dynamic player interaction, is the Kodama cards and the decrees, because there's so many of those, and there's so many different kind of ways that you can try to score points. And you kind of learn those as you go along, kind of similar to Kigi, where you see you can get some points for kind of doing a more variety or focusing on certain, you know, types of features, or, you know, balancing your tree in a certain way, or having so many branches connected to your trunk or built away from your trunk and all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of start to figure out and sort of deduce what other players are going for after you play it a little bit, to sort of take certain cards and sort of, it's almost like a push your luck kind of thing, where you're trying to, okay, I think you're going for this. You know, either way, it's going to score you a lot of points. You know, you're going to get your 10-point branch, or you might be trying to go do it and get some kind of, you know, end game bonus. So it has those kind of layers of definite variability from game to game that are going to keep, you know, gamers and more seasoned types of folks interested, but you can definitely sit down and play with kids or you know, new gamers and that kind of thing, and it's going to look awesome on the table with the big branches and the cool looking trees and all the little features and Kodama sprites and all that kind of stuff. So it's an awesome package, and I definitely recommend this game that folks do take a look at it. It's going to give you a lot of replayability, which I think is good, but at the same time still be very much an entry-level game that's awesome to look at. So definitely take a look at it. Thanks.